we coddle dictators, chosen the word of dictators and thugs over even our own intelligence communities. The love affair, love letters with Kim Jong-un. Standing before the world and taking the word of Vladimir Putin over the entire intelligence community. Our national reputation is being tarnished.
That was Joe Biden speaking in Nebraska just a little while ago amid mounting speculation about whether or not the former vice president is going to run in 2020. Tonight, there are reports that he is soliciting potential advisors and advice from social media executives for strategies on how to better appeal to younger voters. Here now, someone who could potentially face off against Joe Biden, former Maryland Congressman and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate John Delaney. Good to have you with us tonight, sir. Thank you very much for being here.
Great to be here.
What do you think about the fact that he is seeking advice from social media about how to run younger, I guess is one way to say it, because there's a lot of younger folks in the race?
Well, you know, listen, I don't know what Vice President Biden is actually thinking about in terms of the race and whether he's going to run. So I don't really have an opinion of what he's doing with his campaign. I, like a lot of people, are big fans of the vice president. I'm focused on my campaign. I think the voters are looking for the candidate who will best bring our country together and actually start solving the problems. And I think young voters are looking for that. I was just down in Clemson yesterday speaking to a group of young voters. And when you listen to what young voters are really looking for, they're looking for solutions. They've grown up in a world that has been very different than previous generations. They've seen a lot of gun violence. They see how technology has changed. They're worried about climate change. And what they're really looking for is not someone who's going to try to spin something to them, but someone who's actually going to start solving some of these problems. This, to me, is a very much solutions-oriented generation. And I think what they're looking for is something very different than what they've seen from our political system over the last several decades.
So I'm wondering about this question just because it came up today. Are they interested in nationalizing the legalization of pot? Because Cory Booker introduced a bill today that would legalize marijuana nationwide, and the co-sponsors included all of the Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, and Kristen Gillibrand, all on board with that. Are you on board with that?
Yeah, I do think young people are interested in certainly in decriminalizing marijuana. And so many states have made it legal, at least within state laws, and there's a big movement going on in this country. And I do think the federal government should get out of the way and allow states to do what they want to do with respect to marijuana.
You're not concerned about the impact on society of legalizing pot?
Well, look, again, study after study has indicated that marijuana is actually less addictive than alcohol, right? So,
but there's also many studies that show that most people who end up with opioid addiction problems started with pot.
Look, I think our approach to marijuana historically has failed, right? And I think if we do take the next step and legalize marijuana, we should regulate it. We should make sure young people aren't getting it. We should make sure there's proper labeling. We should make sure there's resources in the public health system, right? So I'm very mindful of that, as everyone should be, right? But I think we also have to recognize that across this country, there's growing adoption for some form of legalization, whether it be for medical uses or certainly to decriminalize
yeah, I mean, it's definitely the trend. I just wonder if it's going to turn out to have been a good idea. You know, it's like gambling all across America hasn't always been so great for states.
But what we have to do is we also have to regulate it, right? Because right now we all know that it's going on. It's going on in the shadows. There's a lot of crime. A lot of people get imprisoned for a long period of time with possession, even though they haven't committed any violent crime. We all know what's happening right now isn't working. So I think young people are interested in that. I think they're interested in a lot of issues. I mean, what the younger generation, in many ways, if you think about it, they grew up at a time when technology has allowed them to go around things they don't like. And I think they're looking at the political system right now, and they see a lot of things they don't like, and they want solutions.
We will continue the conversation. John Delaney, thank you. Good to see you tonight.